Hey guys, Shane here at the People First podcast. Now, it's been a little while since we've done a podcast because A, I am lazy, and B, I found it hard to get a hold of some people to interview. However, have I got a treat for you. Today, the lovely, what's a word you describe yourself with? Lovely?
It wouldn't be the first one I thought
Lovely.
of, but
Amazing, charismatic, James McGovern. How are you, buddy?
good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a busy morning. We had some PT in the morning, some classes. I trained, got some food. Unfortunately, it wasn't at the good place, which we'll get to that later on.
We will.
What have you been up to this morning?
Mate, same as you. Not training. I haven't been training enough lately, but just work. I've got, we'll get to obviously the good place, but I've got a few around, and at the moment it's pretty unique conditions. So I've got staff left, right and centre not being able to come into work with COVID or having to go into isolation. So we're just dealing with that challenge at the moment.
Yeah, wow. I could, man, it's just, and one of the things that's happened for us is it's brought up a lot of like vulnerabilities in a business because if I am sick, I actually don't have anyone to cover me. Like I do 99% of our shifts. I do 99% of the workload, or maybe 95%. But, in the 90s. And if I was to get ill and be quarantined and have to go home and spend 7 days sitting on my ass, we would be screwed.
Yeah, man.
Far out. Must be hard for you with so many different employees and different facets to a business.
It's actually, it's been beneficial for us because we've got people that can cover from different venues. So we've had we've actually been okay throughout this period, but it's tested us. We had one of our venues in Queensland last week had, literally everyone that worked at the weekend had to isolate for a week from there. So we only had the weekday team that could work the 7 days.
Wow.
And then they've sort of just come back, that team, and then we've had another case, and they're again on the weekend. So the same thing that's going to happen this week. So I've actually got some chefs down here that I'm sending back up to Queensland now.
Oh, wow.
Because we've obviously just opened another one down here. So sending them back up there just so we can cover the weekend, and it's been a bit hectic.
So before we go any further, so we give some context to the listeners, who is James? What are you about, bud? Why? What would, if you had a 10-second, or not, let's go longer than that, let's go 2 minutes elevator pitch to the world. Who are you and what are you about?
A 2-minute elevator pitch. Far out. That's a lot to put in 2 minutes, hey? Me?
You can take longer.
No. Far out.
We've got an hour.
It's interesting. I don't love talking about myself, but I seem to come onto the podcast and start to have to talk about myself. So James, I've got a cafe chain called The Good Place, but my interests are in a lot more than just the cafe side of it. So we've got we've got some values based around community, health, and environment. So I'd like to think of myself as an advocate of those values and just trying to live my life by those values and build that community. And so everything I do is pretty much towards that. To be honest, I work 7 days. So
it's funny that, your community, environment, and like business and looking at helping people become healthy versions of themselves, which is exactly why I wanted you on the podcast, exactly why I resonate with your energy. A lot of what we do here, HF is exactly the same. Community, we do environment, we do gatherings. What was it that drove you to at least dabble in the industry, like hospitality industry, to do that?
Well, hospo, I've just been in it since I was 14. Red Rooster, actually. So Red Rooster Emu Plains. So just
local.
Yeah, 10 minutes away.
You may or may not have served me. I don't know. I'm not going to say. May or may not.
Yeah, well, so it sort of just went from there. I just stayed in it. I ended up being a manager of Red Rooster and then ended up buying a Red Rooster franchise. Wow. So I was the youngest ever franchisee with Red Rooster.
How old were you when you did that?
19 years old.
Yeah, wow. And what was the youngest before you?
I don't know, but judging by the conference in the 50s, back then it was like an old man franchise.
Yeah, wow.
It was funny. But it was cool. It was a massive learning curve.
Yeah, wow.
But I got into that pretty. It sort of just fell into my lap. Like I was a good worker and a good manager, and then there was venues, there were stores that weren't making money. Red Rooster, like corporate stores that weren't making money, Red Rooster wanted them off their books, so they offered it to high-performing people in the business for $1. There was five stores they sold for $1 each.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean,
how'd that work out for you though? I mean, you think, because like I always say, generally speaking, this is generally speaking, people don't sell profitable businesses, right?
No, I was losing $100,000 a year.
Well, there you go.
When I bought it.
When you're 19, that's a huge responsibility to take on. Yeah. What made you think that you'd be able to change it, for one? And then did you succeed at doing that? Was it something that you were successful with?
Yeah, so took 2 years of working 7 days a week, and that's they're long work days. So. And I increased our trading hours because I was an idiot. But so I was there at 8 o'clock in the morning and generally leaving at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was still living in Penrith, and my venue, my store was in Chullora, so it was about a 40-minute commute there and 40 minutes back. It took 2 years. It took when I looked at the P&L, I thought I could turn it around overnight. Well, I could make it break even overnight. Yeah. So. Because I knew how to run a roster, I knew how to look at my food cost. But I thought that if I fixed service that we would just get busy, and it didn't work like that. And it was a different community. It was a it's a high Lebanese Muslim population there, so they want halal product as well. So I didn't know any of that when I bought it. I didn't think about any of that. I just thought I know how to run a store really, really well, keep my costs where they need to be. If I do that, we'll get busy and we'll make money. So it took 2 years, man. It was a rough area, so we got held up at gunpoint. 2 years. We didn't take on any of the staff when we took over it. So then we had all their family members coming in. We had pretty much a riot there one day where I put up TVs. They all pulled the TVs down and threw chairs at the glass. So that's a lot when you're 19. And so I was with my ex-partner there, and she was the same age as me. So you got 2 kids basically running this place. We had the police doing drive past because we were just
being targeted.
Yeah, it was feral, man. And so it was a lot to learn. Between for those first couple of years up until 21, 22 years of age, and working 7 days. And those sort of hours, I was just sort of conditioned to that, but. But then it worked out. So I mean, we sold. I ended up wanting to buy a second site. I wanted to buy the Emu Plains site. That fell through, and I had a bit of a dispute with the Red Rooster, so I ended up selling that one there. And but yeah, it was a good experience.
Wow.
Didn't lose money out of it. Didn't make heaps of money when you consider made money, but. Once you consider the amount of hours you put into it, it's small business. So
I think I made money on the books, like on the paper that we got at the end of the day. But if I was to break down the hours, I'd probably work for $4.50 an hour for 2 years.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. But no, it was good. It was a great experience. I got franchisee of the year, New South Wales 2008. I was pretty happy with that. I used to train all the incoming franchisees, which is, I suppose, what set me up to be able to do what I do now.
Yeah, wow.
Having all that experience. And my ex-partner ended up becoming like the state operations manager for Red Rooster. So we were good franchisees, we were good operators, and as I said, I think that's what set us up for what we've done since. But then, so that's sort of how I got into hospitality.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how I got to health, I guess, then, because, you can probably understand why. If you own a Red Rooster at the age of 19 and you're just eating that shit every day, you get fat, you get sluggish. I was always quite athletic as a kid, and so I wasn't used to I wasn't used to having to eat right because I could just eat whatever I wanted, and I was training I wasn't going to the gym heaps. I tried it, but I didn't know what I was doing. But I used to play a lot of touch footy, just swimming, running. And so then when I stopped all that because I started working 7 days a week, I got pretty overweight and needed to figure out how to lose it. So actually went on a shake diet initially, which so far from there now, but it's all a journey.
Yeah.
So I was drinking those shakes.
I mean, I think health especially is a layered effect. You know, you learn layers of information and you apply them over a decade, and you eventually get where you want to get to.
Totally, man.
But to walk into that day one on your own is incredibly difficult to do. So you've got to learn that way. Yeah,
you do. Everyone's different. It's all trial and error, and it's certainly a journey. I think that's the best way to put it. And you're always learning new stuff. So that's how I started. That's how I started learning. Just and then once I did that, I started training at the gym more with a mate, and so learning then about putting on mass, and so what I could eat to trigger that response, and then like different types of training. And I've got a pretty compulsive personality, so once I'm into something, I'm right into it. Yeah. So well, I mean, that's how you end up owning a Red Rooster at 19, I think, when you've worked there since you're 14. Yeah. So I just I got really into it. I studied Cert 3, Cert 4 fitness. Yep. And just read a lot about nutrition.
Still living out here in Penrith at this time?
Yeah, still living in Penrith. Yeah. Yep. So moved from Emu Plains just to Warrington County. So
Warrington County's where I live.
Yeah, where
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, man. So just did that, and that's sort of what progressed us to where we are now. I was involved. I was co-director with actually a cafe that was just around here, another chain, nutrition station.
Oh, yep.
So with Jake from Nutrition Station, we grew that brand pretty strongly. Yep. And then what we're talking about, obviously before we started recording, I had some personal shit go down with a mate of mine passing away. Stepped down from Nutrition Station 2 weeks later. Had a few bad years. And that's really what, from all that stuff happening, is what brought in the values more around the community side of it. The environment I've always had an interest in when I was younger. Yeah. And then when I went through just being a dumbass in my 20s, I sort of let all that go. But once you sort of get really back in tune with yourself, then you start, I suppose, following your purpose. And that's, so now this business is all about good health, like genuinely good health, physical and mental, what you put in your body, but then also that community that you have around you, which is how I got through those few bad years that I had in the middle. And then, what I love and passionate about, which is the environment.
Now, describe for me, like, what you consider to be a bad year, like, and go only as deep as you want to go. Mm-hmm. But I know for different people, some people would, and it's all personal, ideas of what bad is for you. So what happened, and where did you end up, and what got you back out of that? Like, because it's cool that we have stories, but we've got to figure out exactly how we got out of that too, because someone out there might be listening and they go, yeah, I can do it. He did it.
Yeah. Such a, it's a loaded question and loaded answer.
Beautiful questions, aren't they? Loaded ones.
Yeah, there's so much context, it's hard to fit it into a 45 minutes or hour podcast. And there's so many stories. So many things that make changes to you along the way. So for me, my bad years is, was I happy with who I was as a person? And I wasn't, but it took a lot to even recognize, to understand it, I think, is probably the word to use, understand it and have the insight to really get it. But I, if you're talking about bad year, man, the year after my mate passed away, arrested twice.
Yeah, wow.
I hurt a lot of people, good friendships and relationships that I had, family relationships. I drifted away from my family quite a lot.
Yeah. And you were close to your family before you sort of pushed them away,
I don't know if I was heaps close. We had a pretty good relationship, but I was a dick to them, really, through that time, which I wasn't before. So we might not have had. We're much closer now.
Yep.
I think maybe because of it all, but I don't know. As you grow, you sort of just even my siblings, I think, are just more
mature and from a world standpoint.
Yeah, and they've got kids now and stuff. So I think that all that brings you together as well. So yeah, I was just really out of tune with who I wanted to be. When I was younger, I had this sort of version of myself. I think when I was younger, it was me. Like, it was who I genuinely am. I'm talking, early, like, high school. Mm-hmm. I actually won an award in high school for year 12, most changed, and I was quite proud of that at the time.
Yeah,
most changed during high school. But looking back, I don't think that was a good thing. I think that it sort of sucked me into wanting to be popular, or like change your personality to fit what everybody wants from you. When I was younger, I was weird, man. I used to love science and love the environment, and I used to breed birds. I had fucking
and that shouldn't be weird, but I get what you're saying.
It's pretty weird. And I have this obsessive.
I mean, I like science. That's weird as. Like,
I know.
That should be normal, but yeah.
I knew everything about like aviculture, so birds, man. I knew fucking everything. That's what I wanted to be when I was older.
Breed and raise pigeons?
No, not pigeons, just everything else.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
It's normally the go-to. Everyone starts with pigeons, budgies.
I had budgies.
Or the quails.
I had quails.
Couple galahs here and there.
I had galahs, had corellas, had cockatoos, man. Asiatic species.
Made a couple $100,000 off illegal. I mean, no, you didn't.
I used to export. I had a license and everything. When I say export, I used to ship a lot of birds up to Queensland.
Yeah, wow.
Was in the Budgerigar Society of New South Wales, Parrot Society of Australia.
Deep.
Yeah, man.
Deep into the culture.
I have an obsessive personality.
Yeah, I love it. I'm noticing a trend with you. You do things and you do them freaking well, and you get to the pinnacle of the pinnacle, and you just go, I'm going to change now. I'm going to do something else now.
Well, I didn't want to change. That was actually, I don't know. Well, I moved away from it. That's what it said. So, but yeah, like I sort of, it started there, and you don't recognize, we talked about like flags and stuff before, or before we started recording, we're talking about, I suppose, seeing warning signs.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that. Like, my personality changing through that period, and there was no drinking, there was no alcohol fueling that when I was young either, and I was sort of changing, and then you add, alcohol when you're in your late teens and early 20s, and you think you're a mad dog. You think you're the youngest franchisee of this fast food chain, and I was a singer in a band.
Yeah, wow.
That's
so much. You made my life look boring, eh?
It was hectic, man. It's quite manic. Like, if you think about it. Like,
you've lived 3 lives, haven't you? Only 34.
Oh, man, that's where all these greys, that's where they come from.
I've got greys too, and I'm balding. I don't have a life like this. It's not that exciting.
But that's, I don't know, man. It's been pretty hectic, pretty chaotic. But
and so you had a couple bad years, and it sort of ended a part in your life where you were business partners in another food franchise with Nutrition Station. Then you went sort of, in your own words, downhill.
Yeah.
Found out that you've been hurting a lot of people. When was the day? So the reason I asked this is because when I was younger, I moved out of home. I moved out of home when I was 15. And I remember the exact day I went, holy fuck, my life wasn't right before today. Like, what the fuck have I been living through? And I didn't realize that. And I remember the day I woke up, I'd moved out of home. The first day, the family that I moved in with had let me sleep in their bottom room. And I went to sleep that night, and I woke up that next morning thinking, like, what is this? Why is no one screaming? Why is no one yelling? Why is there no confrontation? Why is there no anxiety? Why is the sun shining through the window? Why am I well rested? These were questions I asked at 15, right? I just moved out, and I was 15. I asked these questions, and for me, that was a day where I went, now I'm in control. Like, I know I wasn't before. Like, something had control of me before, whether that was I was 14, 15 years of age. You believe that your family should have some sort of control over you. Yeah. But I remember that day, and I asked this because I want to know for you when you just went, if you felt this in sort of like I did, where you just went one day, you went, you know what, like, fuck, I've got control, and before I had none.
Probably, I wish I had that. To be honest, I still don't think I'm there. I think that it's been very gradual for me, and learning more and more things. I wish I could just change it. And I'm finding myself like I find myself in a constant battle with who I want to be and then behaviors. So it's just trying to pick that up and see certain behaviors that that don't align with the values that I really want to live my life by. Just trying to stop it, trying to grab it and readjust every time.
Yep.
But it's been a process, and I think there was certainly there was a point when I've seen a therapist for years, particularly when Nathan passed away. So that was 7 years ago, coming up.
Yep. Wow.
Now, so it's gone pretty like fast, to be honest. But seeing a therapist, and I remember I used to talk about work stuff with my therapist and say to him, I just don't understand why they do this. They, and then he actually said to me, but you keep coming in and talking about all these people and saying they, but what if it's you? What if they're not the problem, and what if you're the problem in the way that you communicate or something like that? And it took me, I don't know if it was that point. I remember him saying that. I don't know if it was that point, but I started really paying attention to that.
Yeah.
And then it was me. A lot of this stuff in my life, when it wasn't going the way that I wanted it to go, or when I had breakdowns in relationships or anything like that, it was totally me. And so that, I think, was a line in the sand, is something to really reflect on, and it's something I still try to do. But it's, we talked about you before this, I suppose, like your upbringing, and we didn't really touch on conditioning, but that's what it is, and it's years of conditioning. How do you just stop that? How do you just change that overnight?
Yeah. Yep.
And my family, all my siblings, they're quite dominant. We have everyone in my family has dominant personalities, and pretty, they've probably got obsessive personalities similar to mine as well. And it's really good in like a career sense. We're all pretty driven or like
ambitious.
Yeah. And when we did sports and athletics, so it was the same thing. We always loved to win.
Yeah, cool.
But it doesn't, in a relationship sense, it's not. You're not meant to be winning.
It's not a race.
It's not, yeah, and you've got to do it together, like any relationship. So, and that's what I've learned, I think. And so that's really, I suppose, changed my life. Just recognizing that and always coming back to that and having that insight.
Was there anyone that you turned to for advice, for help, apart from the therapist? I think I've had my experience with therapy, and my wife had postnatal depression. We've had experience there, and having that individual to talk to, because not that we didn't have people outside that world to talk to, but we just didn't do it. And so we had the professionals to help us to do that. But was there anyone else in your life that you went, I'm confiding in, there's an inspiration, there's someone there that I look up to, some sort of influence in my life that is helping me through this as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some really good, close friends, a couple of really close friends that I've been able to talk to about stuff. I've had a pretty good role model in business as well. Doug Downer, his name is, and as a person, I really look up to him as well and try to model my life on who he is as a person. But I think why I've made sort of a lot of strides in the last 4 years has actually been my partner. So, and I would probably put her as the catalyst for a lot of the change. She's, but I probably, if I'd met her prior to that, the time that I met her, I probably wasn't ready, and she, we probably wouldn't have clicked enough because I was an asshole, So I think everything happens bit by bit to get you to where you are. But since meeting her, she's very much she's super considerate. She's always she can put herself in other people's shoes, very empathetic, and I learn from that. So if I get frustrated with something, she probably does it. She probably is on the other side of the spectrum with it. Sometimes it's clearly somebody else's fault that something's happened, and she'll be like, "Oh, but how are they feeling?"
Yeah. Let me put myself in their shoes at the moment, even though it's completely their fault, and I can see that now, even by doing this.
Yeah.
But we're still going to give it a break.
It's still people to people.
Yeah,
and that's what. So I've actually learnt a lot from her this last 4 years. Yeah, but she's probably the number one in that sense. And then I've got a couple of friends that I've learnt some cool stuff along the way. And even when I was going through those bad years, and there's some friends that probably weren't the best influences, they even taught me stuff. I think I've picked up a lot from a lot of different people. I haven't had sort of one person that I've gone to help me through all this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, you touched on sort of your childhood, and you touched on some areas like that. Is there a defining moment for you specifically where you've kind of gone, where you can look back at your childhood and go, okay, the year 12, was it year 12 thing? You said that you got the award for the most change. That's one moment that you look back at and say, hey, like, maybe that wasn't the best thing that happened to me. However, it happened, and it could never have happened the other way because it didn't. That's how life goes. Is there another moment in your life where you're like, oh man, like that's what's part of this entire journey, part of who I am, part of this whole ambition to do what you've done. Like, I mean, like I said, you've done, I feel like you've lived 3 different lives in 34 years, and you've only really been working since you were 19. And let's take out those first 5 years because it was all or nothing, right? But is there any other moments in your childhood that you could relate back to that just gives us that sort of insight into where you are and what you're doing?
Yeah, I guess, like I said, I've always been super competitive and needed to win and needed to be the best at what I do, which is probably unhealthy. Like, but you don't realize that as a kid, and everyone around you.
But how else are you supposed to do what you've done without being that out of balance?
Well, that's right.
It's impossible.
That's right.
So I'm a big believer in balance, right? I'm like, yeah, we get balance, but unless you want to be the top of something, you cannot be balanced.
That's right.
I don't know anyone that is.
No, it's
the facade. Everyone goes, oh, kill it in business, be the best husband, partner, whatever you want to be, crush it, but be balanced. I'm like, how the fuck does that make sense?
Yeah.
How can you be?
Yeah, that's a reality.
How do I be a business owner, a husband, and a dad all in the one day at the best fucking possibility, and then be an emotional support and a physical support to my clients while then looking after my own needs? Like, far out. Like, that's tough.
Yeah, man. No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Life's interesting, man. I think Joe Rogan often talks about it. Like, if anyone's done anything, they're pretty crazy. Like, they've got some things going on in their head. If you do anything sort of different in your life, you've got some things going on in your head because you can't, And so I look at that and I talk about that actually. Like, my childhood was, I'm getting a bit chilly actually.
Turn that off for you.
Thanks, brother. My childhood was pretty good. Like you whinge about it. Like, you look back and everyone whinges about the childhood, but I was pretty good. Yeah. It was fine. That was more than fine. It was pretty good. And then I forget what I was talking about now. What was I saying?
Was that your childhood and you whinging about it, but it was pretty good?
Yeah, I forget where I was going with it though.
But yeah, right. Defining moment, trying to balance, not being balanced.
Just so, like, I think that there was a lot of conditioning for me when I was a child that was all around, like, there's a certain way to do something, and then you have to be like, do that really well. And I think that just made me really close-minded as a kid. And I think that then reinforced and also reinforcing those behaviors when you're young. I think that, sort of culminated to me making poor choices when I was older that my family isn't an open-minded sort of family. But again, that confidence in decision-making, because if there's no other options, no plan B. If you believe in something so wholeheartedly, and I think this has really been, it's been really highlighted by this whole pandemic and people's opinions of certain things. If you've got an opinion of something so strong that you're so confident in that it's 100% the truth, you go hard at it, and you can, but you just don't accept that there's any other options. And I had that for a lot of years. My belief, scientifically, religiously, I'm not a religious person, but just certain belief systems and the way that you treat people. And like I said, believing that you're so right about something that everybody else is wrong, and not putting yourself in their shoes. I think that all of that was, as a kid, I sort of look back at all that and go, oh, okay, like, that's why I make certain decisions now. And that's why it's important that I recognize it and just try
anyone out there listening can help me with these Canon bloody cameras that cut out after half an hour, hit me up. Bloody hell, it's embarrassing.
Well, they just switch off.
Yeah, after half an hour, the camera just turns off. I mean,
Yeah, right.
I've got, I don't know. It's a camera after all, not a video camera. But
Yeah,
anyway,
true. Okay.
pain in my butt. I mean, there's other cameras I could buy. I'm not trading in for a $2,000 camera for another half an hour.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
So that's a 100% true point, and I totally see where you're going. But there's no plan B. There's nothing that you're looking for. You're going to push forward. I mean, it's the whole burn the ship sort of philosophy, right? Like if we go to war, what's the way that we're going to have our mind on the task? Well, let's burn the ships. We're not going anywhere unless we win, right? We're going to win or we're not going to win.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's also like, have you read 7 Habits Highly Effective People?
I have listened to the audio and I've read bits and I've read chapters of it. I'm a book flicker, so I read lots of books and sometimes I flick through them.
Audio I'm a big audio guy as well. But there's a cool anecdote that he talks about, which is if you're reading a map, right? And he talks, so say we're in Penrith right now, but you've got the map for Manly, right? And you need to get somewhere. How are you going to get there? You know, so you call up somebody and go, oh, I can't figure it out. And they go, just try to go faster. Just go faster. So you're following this map that's for a completely different wrong place and you're just going faster. You're getting lost twice as fast. And you call them up again. You say, I can't find where I'm going. And they say, well, just think positively. You know, like, why don't you just think positively and that will help you get where. Stop stressing out. Stop freaking out now. Just think positively, calm down, meditate and go to where you need to go. And I'm not saying meditation's a bad thing. I'm a big believer in it. But then there's the reality. If you've got the wrong map, you've got the wrong fucking map, you know? And so that's conditioning. You know, when you're taught a certain way and you believe that's the way to do things, and you're so conditioned to it that that's the map. You know, but you're looking at the wrong map.
Yep.
So trying to find the correct map and just readjust is, I think, critical to being a better person. If you depending on what you've gone through. But
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's like saying, like, you can be one-minded, but if you're one-minded on the wrong map, it's a detriment. It's almost a curse.
Yeah, man.
Unless you got the right map, or you can learn to say, hey, I'm going to get my phone out. Use the maps on there.
Yeah.
So always do resourcefulness, right? I'm trying to now be resourceful. So it's not a lack of resources, but a lack of resourcefulness.
Yeah, brother.
Now I want to know someone who has done what you've done, who has gone, and I'm going to float your boat, who's gone from 19 to franchisee of the year, taken a business from $100,000 in the red to profitable in 2 years, which is ridiculous. Well done. To be able to go where you're doing now, opening, the good place, which we'll talk about at the very end of today as well. I mean, you've got to have some sort of routine that you live your life by. There's got to be something that keeps all of those tabs under control.
Yeah.
Do you have routines?
Yeah, I do.
Run us through them because I'm keen. I want to learn. I'm going to take some notes now.
So it's this is what I'm saying. I do.
My tabs are like this. You know the little rainbow wheel on the Mac when it freezes?
Yeah.
I got tabs, but some of those tabs are rainbow wheels.
Yeah. Oh, man, I don't know. See, this is the problem with doing a lot of therapy and doing a lot of self, like just always looking at what you do, because I don't believe anything that I do is that great, So I don't try to, you get consultants and stuff. I know that I could go do franchise consulting, but I don't believe the way that I do things are the right way. It's sort of my way that I do things. But I think there's room for growth, and I'm always looking at the way other people do things. But my particular, I suppose, my particular strategy or like my routines, I'm not particularly good at anything myself, so I rely on good people around me. And I'm good. That's probably a strength of mine, is bringing together people. Yeah. And then
seeing talent from afar and going, we need to harness this because it's above my pay grade that they can solve these problems for me.
Totally. So like you put me, if you ask me to build the good place, I'm no chance. Like I can't do any of it. I can't. We've got the website up now, like with a cool video. I can't do a video. I can't build a website. My partner Elias, she can do both those things. Like she's creative. She's just so good at doing stuff, getting shit done.
Does she works with you in this? Or
she works with me. Yeah. So we work side by side. She does it. I have vision. Like I can think up. I don't know. I can be creative like that, and I have sort of big picture vision of where things need to go, and I know sort of what needs to come together to make that happen.
Yep.
But I can't do it. I can't do any of it. And I get stressed out. Like sometimes you have to do it, but it stresses me out. Little problems stress me out. So like having to be on the floor, and if orders are taking too long, and that's when I can feel like my stress rising, and that's when I get like snappy and stuff like that. So I sort of try to keep myself away actually from being in the venues a great deal these days.
Yep.
Because as well, like I know if I'm running a venue day to day myself, there's 7 days, I know I can run it pretty well, but I'm big on being prepared. So like when I ran my Red Rooster, I was always prepared, just stayed back always the night before until everything was done. So if I came in and everyone called in sick, I could still run a shift. But you can't do that when you're not there 7 days a week. So I get freaked out when I come in and I see things not done, and I'm, but I don't want to be a nitpicker. So I sort of leave that side of it to other people. So I've got an operations manager then that I can have a conversation with him outside of the venues, outside of all the stress, get reports back on how things are going. So in terms of like what my week looks like or what my day looks like, I'm big on calendars. So I use Gmail and Google. So I've got a Google Calendar, and I list every single thing that I'm going to do. And I've got some that are just every day. So in the morning when I wake up.
What time do you wake up?
About 5:30 at the latest.
Yep.
How about you?
Yeah, 4:50, 5 o'clock, because I'm here by 5:30.
Yeah, true. Fitness. Yeah.
It's the curse of the trainer. And I get home at 8:30, so it's a long day.
Yeah, it is, man.
And you're working when people are asleep or generally like at home.
Yeah, true. It's life of fitness is funny, man, like that. But I never used to be like that. Like I used to be a late night worker, but it fucks you up. To be honest, you feel sick. And
I'm exactly like you. When I was younger, I would work well at night and terribly in the morning. As a trainer for the first 4 years, when I was sold out of PT, doing 45, 50 hours of PT, I would not start until 12 p.m. And work through till 9:30 at night, if not later if I had to. But I'm doing about 9.5, 10 hours a day, flat stick, hour to hour to hour for 4 days straight. But I'd only work 4 days a week. I'd catch up on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and did that for 2-3 years straight. But since being older, since having a little girl, and since being now a dad, I find that the only time I get to think is at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
If I'm not up at 4 a.m. thinking, shit's not going to get done today. Like I got to get up early, get my all right. I try and do a little bit. I shouldn't do it, but before I go to bed, I realign my list. But in the morning is when I'm like, mate, okay, this is the day, 4 a.m. I'm up and I'm thinking, okay, on 5, I've got the class at 6 and then plan your day out that from 4. But it's the only time in my life where I actually feel 100% calm. As soon as I feel the lights and the energy of the world wake up, my stress goes up because I just feel like I need to get shit done. Like there's people everywhere now, and I've got people in my way, and I've got phone calls, and just sitting here, what's this, like 55 texts or something? Like there's a lot going on. And I'm like, see, at 4 a.m. no one's texting you, no one's calling you. Yeah,
I'm the same, man. That's why I love it. You get, if you're starting your workday at 6, you're getting 3 hours in before it's appropriate for people to be calling you. Like in a workspace, my cafe is open at 7. So I've got to be prepared for that as well. And I don't have an expectation that my staff, even like my HQ staff, are going to be up. So I often get myself and Elias get the calls in the morning generally, if something's happening. But I'm the same as you in terms of the night before. So I like to be prepared. So the night before, I don't see it as work though. I'm pretty, my work life, my personal life.
You have a passion for it, so it's not. I mean, it's work because you could not do it. Like you could not get up and do all these things. But it's also the fact that if you're gonna do something at 4:30 in the morning, this is what you want to be doing.
So it makes it pretty easy. And I'm the same as you. Like in terms of that morning, I feel good in the mornings. Like when I wake up and I've got my day already set out for me, and I'm a big. I've got some weird little ticks, I guess. Like I don't watch the news, but I read the news every single morning. So I just read like the headlines. Just click into.
I actually like this question. Like, where do you read your news? Is it just the Apple thing that comes up that tells you all the things that it knows about you?
It is. I'd like to say that I'm a cultured newsreader. But no, I'm probably just I'm probably a bit of a junkie for that sort of stuff. I got that from, I'm a big Joe Rogan fan.
Yeah.
And so I've got...
I'm trying to be him right now.
Yeah.
Look at me. Hey, one day, Joe.
It's not a bad setup.
I want to be on your podcast, buddy.
But he talks about, he's got a folder called Junkie. And so I've got one now called Junkie, and it's got news, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram in it.
On your phone? That's
my
phone.
phone.
Yeah,
so every time I have to open up that folder
to be reminded what you're doing,
because
you're tapping into the bloodline.
Yeah, that's it. It's but I do that in the morning. So I'm not one of these guys that can say I don't. I check it all. I check all my LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, sort of Messenger.
I'm like you. I want to be less reliant on it, but I feel like if I did that, then I take myself out of the reality that I actually have to communicate in. And if I'm not, I'm not. It's not like it's if they're speaking. If everyone around you is speaking a language because they've just jumped on Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever, and you're like, what? Like you're not communicating, you're not connecting, you're not doing anything. Sometimes you need to just be able to do what you've done and create a distinction of when you do it. Like, hey, I'm tapping into the bloodline because I'm going into the junkie folder. And I'm going to start hitting myself with this, feel good endorphins. I know what's happening. I feel good, but I need to pull out of this folder at some point because I can't spend my life here. Because then you just waste it, right?
Yeah. And I also I check all our pages and I check all the reviews and so that's what I'm saying. I'm not the best because, I'd love to say I get up in the morning, do the whole fill your cup routine, do my workout and
meditation,
send 5 messages to friends that I haven't spoken to for a long time and drink a fucking green juice and, and do my meditation down at the beach. We live on the beach, and I don't get down there enough.
You absolutely have the dream lifestyle that my wife and I would love to have one day, is living in sunny Queensland up there and do some beautiful weather.
Yeah, it's
freezing here in Penrith. What are you talking about?
That's part of the reason why we stayed up there. Like it's mad, and you live we don't have a road between us and the beach, so you walk out the back door. You've got sand on your toes. But I'm a work addict, man. I'm a workaholic. So we don't do that enough. So there's things that I'd like to do. I'd like to do all the fill my cup stuff in the morning. I'd like to go down for a surf. And
when are you going to retire, bud?
See, this thing, I don't have any plans for that stuff, man.
You can do it then. No plans for it.
I've got to. That's something I've got to keep working on because Elias is different. She I know she wants to. She loves travel, so we've got to travel a bit more. She likes more of the balance stuff. So I've got to get this business to a point where we will focus more on the other side of it.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's 7 days. It's get up, but not. We love it, and we work hard at it. But it's all that morning routine is all based around quickly checking all that stuff. And when I check it, it's all still a lot of it is around the business. And then I have anxiety if I don't clear out of my emails. So just clearing out my emails.
You have 0 emails to respond to.
Well, I always have a shit ton in the morning, a shit ton in the arvo. Somehow that happens. But then I don't like to touch it.
So that gives you anxiety, the 199 emails that I haven't looked at
today.
Oh,
no, that's okay. I've got my personal email is so my work email is only 21 at the moment because I cleared that out this morning. But my personal email is 1,000. My voicemails is what will give anyone anxiety. I've got 1,800 unlistened to voicemails at the moment.
No way.
Because I get out of something like this and
7 or 8 phone calls are just silence in the background.
Yeah.
So I go, James, I don't have time for this.
Yeah. So I just call people back as well. I don't listen to voicemails. I just sort of call people back. But
just deactivate it, buddy.
Yeah,
that's stressing me out, that number. You don't need that in there. I deactivated
I just got to
mine.
get a new phone, I think. But
that's not solving the problem. It's just band-aiding. New phone.
Yeah.
So then what do you do? So you've done your emails, you've cleared your inbox, you're moving through. Okay, we're about mid-morning.
So no, I do so I do all that by what do I got? Emails by about 8 o'clock. So between 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, that's generally done. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I do comms. So I mainly do text messages. We've got a shit ton of WhatsApp groups I've got with each department in our business and then each venue. So I just do touch base. I'm a pretty hands-on operator.
Yep.
So touch base with everybody. That's between sort of 8 and 9 o'clock. And then my day is generally filled up with a lot of meetings. So we're going through growth at the moment. So I have meetings scheduled generally, 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock, either phone calls, video calls or face-to-face. So that takes up most of my day. But I have it all scheduled in my calendar. Even if I'm commuting, that's when I'm doing phone calls, for instance.
Perfect. Yep.
So, that I try to get the most out of every minute there. And then it depends. And some of my meetings are at the cafes, and if I'm in the cafes, I like to obviously touch base with the operators that are in there. So I've got business partners in there, so I'll schedule time to have a chat with those guys and the key staff members, and just try to be the cheerleader for the business like that.
Yep.
And then by the time I get to 5 o'clock, like I said, I just check my emails again. So I just like to clear it out at the end of the day. So by 6, it's sort of cleared out. And then some phone calls. But I seem to finish up work at about 7 o'clock most days.
Training, doing physical activity there as well, or just sort of like business as the orientation at the moment?
So, no, I do. So there's just been the last couple of weeks I haven't. Yep. We've just got this Penrith venue open, so I haven't really done anything. But that's generally about that 7 o'clock. So I'll go train in the evenings. Yep. Sometimes I'll train in the morning, but I'll be doing other stuff at the same time. So I'm not like a super switch off, do it. I'll literally be doing emails and stuff. So I'll do it in that morning
You got
session.
your headphones in, taking a phone call sort of thing?
Yeah, or doing that. I find that harder though. So I generally try to do like the emails, but I do take phone calls. But I just know I'm talking really loud in the gym as well.
It is a sacrifice. I mean, to run the scale of business that you have, things come at a loss, and sometimes our physical fitness for a period of time in that endeavor can be lost. But it is,
but it's still an excuse. Like, you can always make that out.
100%.
And I think it's super important. Like, a big part of my business is like that mental health side of it, and I need to work out. I need to train.
Yep.
That's why I eat the way that I do, is mainly around mental health. That's why I sleep now. That's why I don't do the late nights anymore.
Yep.
I switch off at 7 o'clock. All that is to keep my mind from not going mental.
Yep.
And so sleep, diet, exercise, sunlight.
Yep.
But I don't always do it well. Like I always catch myself, and that's at the moment. Like, I haven't been training. Just before Christmas, I was, had a few really consistent good months, and even coming down here. So I've been staying in Warrington, and I haven't been training at the gym, but I was going down to the Warrington Lakes there, and there's
a little track.
Track, and there's the bars and stuff there.
Yep.
It's not the Bondi bars. So
North Bondi. Hang up.
Nothing the same as the Wero bars. But I've just been going. I'd go down there and do some pull-ups and just some push-ups and just get the body moving, really.
So with all this going on in your life, James, how do you unwind and relax?
Yeah, this is like another one that's not super interesting, to be honest. Well, I love music. I'm a big rock and roll fan. So like
one artist, only listen to the rest of your life. I know it's a big question for a muser. You got to do it.
I reckon it's going to be Tool.
Hey, nice.
Yeah.
Very good. I think Tool has at least a song for every mood that I'm in. I'm a massive Tool fan. I always forget their song titles, but I absolutely love Tool as a band, and their song titles are fucking like hate, like what the fuck. And then I just don't remember any of them. But,
It's I agree. I think if I have to choose one, it's them. But they're, at the same time, it's probably not good for the brain to listen to that. It's pretty hectic. Their music is pretty hectic. So I've got to listen to some lighter stuff and mix it up a bit. But
I went through a phase when I had to delete every single song that I had listened to I went through, like, this is when I was younger. So it was obviously, I don't think I was emotionally or mentally developed enough to make good decisions. So I just deleted absolutely everything in my thing, because I was like, everything I'm listening to is either making me angry, depressed, or pissed off at the world, and like nothing. Then I'm like got some sort of like song that makes me happy, and I'm like, my emotions are up and down just by listening to this on shuffle. Like, I can't do this anymore. Just delete it and then slowly got my shit together. Yeah,
it's crazy how music can have that effect. But it's also then the frame that you view it through. So like if I'm listening to Tool, like I love the drums, for instance, and I'll just hone into the drums, and then you're not really listening to all that depressing shit that they might, like the themes. And I get excited like that. I found I can trick myself into, if I'm having a bad day, certain things can just get me excited again.
Yep.
And it's really just playing around with that, like with your brain. And it's not the same thing for me all the time, so I have to change it, have to mix it up. Sometimes it might be music, other times the music might make me feel even shittier.
Yeah.
So, but I've got to find it. And so, yeah, music is one of those things though that can do that. So I'd listen to some music to sort of unwind. I love movies. So at night, again, see, like, I would love to say that I'm watching heaps of documentaries and stuff, and I do watch ones. I'm a bit of in an echo chamber though. Like, I always look at the stuff that I'm really interested in. So food, health, like health sort of stuff.
I mean, you can only watch that so many times as well. I've watched all those, and like, I need to have a break from this educational stuff.
It does that, hey?
Yeah.
And then podcasts, like I do like learning. So that's sort of unwind.
It's got a true crime sometimes. I'm big into like the
like
underworld and the true crime side of the life. I'm like, maybe because there's some part of my blood-born, growth in that space too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I'm so interested in these lifestyles. So that breaks it up for me.
Yeah. It's true crime is pretty cool. Do you like Dexter, the show? It's not true, but
I watched the first 2 seasons, got obsessed with it, and then I sold my DVD player, so I never I bought them all on DVD, so I never got them out again.
Shit, man!
There's like 5 more seasons I haven't seen.
Well, there's a new season that's coming out this year.
Don't tell me about it. I want to go back. Start again.
Go back and watch it. But see, I like shit like that.
What was the new one I watched that reminded me? It was You.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a serial killer who's obsessed, he falls in love with these girls and is obsessed with them. But anyway, and then serial kills anyway. But yeah, very similar.
Yeah, right.
So movies, but I'm like, if I can get to the movies, to me, that's a top day. Like, to get to I want to watch Ghostbusters. So many things I haven't seen that I want to watch, but I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, I went and saw the new Matrix at the movies.
Did you like it?
I thought I did at first, and the more I thought about it, the less I liked it.
Mixed reviews.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's
fine. Which is
if you're a Matrix fan, then you get another dose of the Matrix.
Yeah.
But it's not great. So, but yeah, like again, I love fishing, but I don't do enough of it. I learned how to surf when I moved to Sunny Coast. Don't do enough of it. But I do enjoy it. I like being outdoors. So I've got to, we talk about that balance and how if you're doing this sort of shit, you don't really have it. So I need to find that at some point. Hospitality is the worst for it because it's long. It's big days. You're up early, and if you've got functions at nights, and I do a lot of like community stuff, and that's generally events in the evenings. So in those other days, it's sort of doing that. But yeah, brother, that's sort of what my life sort of looks like.
Beautiful. Now, do you have any books, podcasts that you recommend people listen to? Like, there's some things I've read. I mean, we've got the Paul Chek sitting here. You know, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy. I'm sure you've probably read that, actually.
Yeah, I have.
Yep, I knew you would have.
Yep.
I can tell. Especially considering, Aaron McKenzie was saying that, you knew of him. I'm like, see, it's the Paul Chek stuff. It's all connected.
Yep.
But yeah, are there any books out there that you recommend, any podcasts, any that you think, people every single person on the planet needs to read this book or hear this podcast? Apart from this one, obviously. Don't say this one because we all know.
We already know that. I listen to. I've already spoken twice about Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan podcast just because there's so much diversity there, and I love the way that he interviews.
Also, it takes you a week to get through a podcast. 3 hours.
I know, but that's what's so good about it. He gets through so much. It's not. He goes into so many different places, and there's some really cool some speakers on there, like Paul Stamets is my mycologist.
What's your all-time favorite podcast? That just goes, if I'm listening to a podcast from Joe Rogan, like one of his episodes, which one is?
It'd be that Paul Stamets one.
Paul Stamets.
Yeah, Paul Stamets. He's a mycologist. He talks about mushrooms.
And actually, I think has he got a documentary as well?
He does. Yeah.
On Netflix.
Yeah, Fantastic Fungi.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, that's right. My name's familiar.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And he has cool shirts too. So.
Yeah, he does. He's a pretty cool dude. It got me like really into the looking at the medicinal benefits of mushrooms and then now you see it everywhere. You see all these mushroom businesses.
Tim Ferriss is it?
I'm not a massive Tim Ferriss guy.
Yeah, because he's nothing like Joe Rogan because they're very different. But psilocybin stuff, or the mushroom and everything that they're doing there is moving forward, putting millions of dollars of his own money into research for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you would ring a bell for you?
No, in terms of listening, I'm big on I like entertaining voices as well. So there's some that I'd like to be able to listen to, but I just can't because I just don't like their voices.
Yeah, all the way they run it, it's like overpowering. Sometimes the host is way overpowering.
Totally,
man. I don't want to listen to you. I'm probably like that on this one. But like, Shane, I don't care about your story. We're here to talk about. But listen to James, man. You just turn on and turn off. That's all you do, Shane.
The Shane-inator.
You got it in there. Well done.
Got it in. But yeah, no, I don't know, man. Like I listen to science sort of not podcasts. Just the audiobooks as well.
Yep.
So what are some good ones?
Ever watched, I don't, it's a book actually, seeing as you said put science, but like What the Bleep Do We Know?
No.
You're a Matrix fan, so this is a good one.
Yeah.
For that sort of thing. We are not here, but they're everywhere. There's multiples of us. Anyway, the whole
shit like that.
Cool, full deep science stuff that no one can explain, even science itself. Quantum physics sort of stuff. But that's really cool. So you might want to check that actually.
I will. Yeah, that sounds cool. Have you read or have you listened to *Sapiens*? The book *Sapiens*?
No. But I have heard a lot about it. Yeah,
I reckon that's a must. And then he's got Homo. He calls it Deus. I say Deus. What do you say to?
Deus.
Deus. Homo Deus is the second one. That's also pretty good. I haven't listened. He's also got one 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. I haven't listened to that one or read that one.
Recently heard about that. I need to make a list. I haven't enough time. I need to get up at 3 a.m.
But they're true. Yeah, but they're good ones. And then I mentioned it before, but 7 Habits, Highly Effective People. I reckon I'll listen to that one 3 times a year.
Would you, out of all those, what would you gift to people around you? So if someone's like, if you were going to buy someone a birthday present, which one would it be that?
It depends on the person. I reckon *Sapiens* for everybody.
Okay.
It's
a broad spectrum book you'll give out.
I reckon so. I reckon it's super interesting. I reckon there's stuff in there that everyone will be like, wow. Like it goes through like the history of science. So it starts off with essentially chemistry and moving through to biology and then into history and then ancient history into modern history, and then by the end of it sort of starting to talk a little bit about ideas, but then that's what the second book is. So that Homo Deus is more around theories of what's going to happen in the future, and I just think it's super interesting, like some of the stuff in terms of evolution and where we've come from and ideas. And
you've sold me. I'm going to go look it up and read it.
Yeah, brother. If you listen to it, I think it's about 12 hours. So it's only 4 Joe Rogan podcasts.
I'll take a month off Joe Rogan and I'll be up to speed.
Yeah, man.
And I like this question because I'm a massive, you can tell by looking around, I'm a gadget type of dude.
Yeah,
I like lights, cameras, action stuff.
Yeah.
Things that just annoy me at first, and then once I get a handle on how to use them, I enjoy them. Is there any gadgets in your life that you use on the daily or you absolutely love?
Actually, you did send me like a list of questions. I barely looked at it. Sorry, brother.
For a prepared dude, you're not very prepared.
You did ask me. You did ask me about the gadgets. I'm not so much gadgets, but programs,
apps.
Apps. So there's one called Asana.
Asana.
Have you heard of that one?
Spell it.
It's like ASANA. It's a project management tool. So it's you can use it as checklists, but it's better than that. Especially if you've got a team of people and you can sort of associate certain tasks, assign tasks to people, get people collaborating. It integrates with Gmail as well. So when you're sending emails, it will tie into that particular task. So
all without you doing it. You just log your details. So you go on that app and you put your email address in there and it just ties in.
You've got to set it up. You've got to. Everything requires like upfront work. So you got to set. Once you've got to set it all up, then once it's all set up, then it's super awesome. So I love that program. Like I said, I love the G Suite. So Google, the G Suite for work wise. You got calendar, all the sheets, everything that your whole team can work on at once. So I love all that shit. And then there's some hospitality specific stuff that I really love that's all integrated.
Do you have a special like booking point of sale stuff that you guys use?
Yeah, we do, and I love all those integrations. So like our we've got order from table system that integrates with our point of sale system, but then that's also our booking system.
Yeah, wow.
So when you're online, or if you order, it's all. I love integration. So there's so much cool shit. Like that's part of business that I love as well. Like you can get lost in all these different apps and technologies like that. And some of it makes more work. Some of it you have to use the systems. We've got a whole online training platform for our teams,
and video orientated as well.
Yeah, mainly videos.
Yeah, good.
And
future.
It is, man, and it's more engaging for the younger staff as well.
Manuals are dead.
Yeah.
Who reads?
Yeah, man.
Listen and watch. That's what we do now. It'll be a VR soon. You'll be able to virtually reality put people in your kitchens and.
Well, interesting, man. That's like the next thing we've got to think about. So how do we bring for this business? How do we bring it online?
Yeah.
How do we, you've got Uber Eats and stuff like that. You've got like virtual cafes, in that respect. But the next thing is VR. And I went to this seminar with this futurist talking about the Olympics coming to Brisbane.
Yep.
And he was talking about Japan and about how, like nobody was in the crowd because of the whole COVID situation. And he's like, but imagine if you could have been there. Imagine if you still could have purchased tickets.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, I can be in my home and call you up and go, James, let's go for dinner. Sweet. No, I'll just see you there in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Go into another room in my house.
Yeah.
I'm walking into the good place.
Yeah.
Pulling up a chair, but I haven't left my house.
Exactly. Yeah. How do you do that, right? So I've actually had this thought about,
Sounds hectic. Actually, the best thing I've ever thought of because I hate leaving my house.
Yeah. Same. I know, but it's a reality, and I think we're moving. For better or worse, that's where we're moving towards.
100% we are.
And Gary Vee talks about this sort of shit all the time.
Do you have a V friend?
A V friend?
Did you buy one of his NFTs?
No. I haven't. But NFTs is it's something else that's interesting me at the moment. Do you have one?
No, but I fucking missed out because he told me to do it and I went, no, I don't have 1,000, whatever it was at the time. I think he needed $3,000 or something. He goes, just go buy one Ethereum. I'm like, Ethereum's like $3,000. Who just has that laying just go buy one. Anyway, let's not get on my shit planning financially.
That's an interesting space. Our marketing director, that's where she wants to move towards this year, actually doing some of her own NFTs and having that related back to the physical good place and having some rewards.
Well, there's heaps of ones going around, and depending on the project, right? This is something that has legs, has power. So if you do, let me know. I want to buy in. But at the same time, I'm thinking that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a project with purpose because, these only have value if there's value in the people that are creating the NFT because it's a token of that representation of that whatever.
Yeah.
But if people are just doing it because, some people think it's artwork, it's not that, but it can be. But, on top of that, it has to be an experience, has to be something that you're a part of as a collection of people and something to do. But it is moving that way. And if you guys are thinking about it now, what do you reckon 5-10 years from now? I reckon we're sooner than that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, like Gary Vee also says, we're already there. Like you're in your phone all day.
Yep.
And so it's not far removed from that to just be in a headset and be in that world.
Yep.
Zoom has brought us in that.
100%. We've been forced there. We've been pushed. We've just jumped 10, 15 years. If it wasn't for the pandemic, it's pushed us there.
Yeah, that's
the fact that people are already terrified sometimes, which is a bad thing because it's not a great psychological place for a planet to be in. But I think from our technology standpoint, we're on the cusp of just breaking through some new technology.
Is what it is, isn't it? Far out. You can challenge it and say that it's not. I don't know. That's why I said for better or worse. It just is what it is.
And there was something I saw the other day. It was about, you don't know whether something's good or bad because you don't know how it's going to reflect the rest of your life until you get to the end of your life.
Yeah.
Did you post that? Someone saw that.
No. I don't post much.
Pretty cool.
I post weird stuff when I do. It's
weird stuff about budgies.
Yeah. Mainly memes, man. I'm a sucker. But yeah, I think it's definitely going that way. If you look at then the ramifications, better or worse, at least environmentally, it's probably potentially better if we're using the right energy, renewable energy. But it depends, because mining, that's Bitcoin mining is the environmentally a disaster.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at, if people are going to be leaving their houses less because they can meet up with their friends in their living room, far out. I don't know. Yeah. Is it better if you can do exercise with a personal, like if you can bring everyone together into your gym?
Yep.
They're
all
just
over the world, and they're in their own lounge room. It is interesting to see because of the way that we train. It's like, how do you do that in your living room?
How do you do it? Yeah.
But at the same time, I think as a social networking expansion, like how do we become more social without being literally social, like face to face?
Yeah.
Then it's got huge untapped questions of potential there because if you move away, I don't see you anymore because I physically can't be with you. But if there's another metaverse of some kind where we can hang out still, and it feels like I'm with you. And then, but then this is so deep, but you go then someone like Elon Musk who says he's not far off just literally uploading your consciousness to a computer and living forever. Fucking blows my mind, that sort of conversation, that someone that smart and so switched on to the world is saying, oh, we're not, we could do, I could do that. We could almost do that. And I'm like, you could what?
Yeah, man. That's so this Homo Deus, that's actually what he's talking about, is interfacing the internet straight to your brain. He's like a lot about this. So he's saying that is not Homo sapien anymore. That is the next evolution.
Yep.
And because he goes through, obviously, that whole, it's a lot about evolution, that first book. And that is super interesting. Imagine if you can access any information that you need instantly.
We've got those chips that they've already started animal trials with the chimp that was playing Pong with his mind, and now they're going to start human trials at some point in the next year, I think, or this year. Can't remember. I read it.
It's hectic, man.
I put a chip in your brain, and then you could go, I'm going to do a Google search. I know the answer.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Well, you know an answer.
Yeah. Well,
whatever's on Google.
I've got top 3 that Google showed me.
Then it becomes the data.
Yeah.
Like the data that you're feeding it.
Yep.
You know, fuck. It's pretty hectic, man.
I'm tripped down. I need to go home. And I know you got to get out of here, buddy.
Yeah,
so I won't hold you up too much longer.
No worries.
Give us a plug, bud. Like, where can we find your shops again? You know, you got one here opening in Penrith, and we are so excited to go up there and check it out.
Yeah,
I know
cool.
We've got 150 members who want to go see it too.
Yeah, sweet.
Hit us up.
Penrith, Derby Street, next to the hospital, open 7 days, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then we've still got one in Waterloo in Sydney, and then a few up in Queensland. So just check out the website, www.thegoodplace.co, not .com. People make that mistake. Check out our locations. Opening a few more across New South Wales this year as well. So
selling more territories. People contact you for more on franchising, or you just
it's interesting. So because we're a 50-50 model, so we're not actually. I've got a I've taken inquiries for franchise, but currently we're staying away from franchise. We're doing we're in partnership in each venue. So it's an interesting model. We've got an operator.
Gives the people more confidence. You've got skin in the game too.
Well, that's it, and we don't have all upfront fees and stuff, which makes it a more appetizing model for operators to come in, which is how our growth is going so fast as well. But it also means like we just avoid a lot of the pitfalls of franchising currently, but it might be a time that we can't continue to capitalize it ourselves, that we have to look at external capital, which is either investment or potentially franchise. So I've got it on our website. I've got a link for if you're interested in franchise. But at the moment it's not a franchise model, man. But we do have more sites opening, and they're the 50-50s. And Western Sydney, we've got a couple more Western Sydney. So we've got we just put tenders in for sites in Parramatta, North Parramatta,
awesome, and
Baulkham Hills.
Yeah, wow.
So, Western Sydney we're looking is growth for us, and then we've got northern suburbs and looking at a couple more of the eastern suburbs as well.
Do you find, just quickly on this, you would generally think, I don't believe this statement, but I think Western Sydney has huge amounts of potential from a health standpoint, even though it seems to be the unhealthier of the suburbs. Is there a place that you just we need to get more stores out in the west, east, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's a huge health. I think there's a lot of people, I don't know if you call it holistic health, but definitely like gym junkie culture out west. And so I think that the model works here for the product. But what interests me about like Western Sydney is the rent is half what you'd pay eastern suburbs, northern beaches. So I mean the theoretically the revenue you've got to do is 50% of that. So you can actually it can be a more profitable model out west. But what I'm super keen on is the community and environmental side of the Western Sydney, of the Western suburbs.
100%. We got the community barrier, huge amount of community.
We have great community. I mean, we've just been. I was saying we've got this thing up on. And my PR guy actually just messaged me this morning. We've just been on Western Weekender this morning. They put it up on their Facebook, and it's gone like viral, man. Like we don't get this sort of response elsewhere, but I think that's because there's nothing else like that. People don't bring health brands out west, like genuine. Integrity to health.
And again, they're looking for a bottom dollar return, and they're not looking at gluten-free, organic, keep it within 100 kilometres, try and keep it locally sourced.
Oh, so you saw that, did you? Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Oh. That was just my thought on how restaurants should run.
So we keep everything within 200 Ks.
Oh, you do? Awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
And
we source everything.
Yeah. And that's my food philosophy anyway. So that's why I sort of see a line with what you guys do, and I think it's really cool. But even without saying it, that's what people are interested in. That's what we've been craving. That's what I've been asking for this for 10 years.
Yeah.
Easy 10 years I've been asking for it. And, we've tried to dabble it in here. It's just too fucking hard for my brain. But, I'm a fitness guy, not a fucking hospitality guy. So, but we've been waiting and you see it here and there, and you see it done kind of well, but not perfect. So it's going to be interesting to get into their stores and see how they run and how they all go.
Yeah,
I'm keen.
Come by.
3 p.m. I mean, I'm still working at 3 p.m. You need to open up later for me.
You get a bit of time in the middle of the day when you're podcasting.
I'm smart. I've got time.
Yeah.
All right, bud. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks,
I appreciate it. You've nailed it. You've killed it. We've almost beat Dino as well. I remember saying in an hour and a half. So we're an hour and 10 minutes. I know you've got to get out of here.
Yeah,
so
no dramas.
Thanks,
man. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming in. Have a good one, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you have any questions for James or myself, shoot them through, and we'll get back to you. Until then, guys, keep having fun, stay healthy, and I will see you in the gym.